Hello and welcome to this new Cyberpunk 2077 news roundup, and I'm not sure about you, but I'm still digesting the latest Night City wire. So much amazing information, and if you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend taking a look at my summary. You'll find the link in the video description. But today we have more exciting updates on Cyberpunk 2077, especially concerning the upcoming release of Update 2.0 and the Phantom Liberty expansion. The press and content creators are deep into the updates and can already discuss the changes coming with Update 2.0 and the resulting gameplay modifications. We'll be taking a look at some intriguing excerpts. Additionally, I've gathered some vital information about the PC hardware requirements, and at the end, we'll delve into some crucial tips to help you prepare best for Update 2.0 and the expansion. I'll give you a heads up. It's going to be quite expansive, but that's not all, so be sure to stick around until the end of the video. Let's take a look at a really interesting article from GameStop where they've been talking about all the changes coming to Cyberpunk 2077 with Update 2.0, and there are some really interesting things right there, so let's take a look. First, we've got the skill trees and perks overhaul. Skill trees have been reorganized, unlocking new sections as you level up your attributes. And as you might have seen, skill trees are much more simplified now, so you've got less perks or less skills, but they're more meaningful because they really bring new gameplay to the table and aren't just percentage-based buffs. They now offer, like I said, new abilities that deeply impact gameplay. Some of their favorite new abilities include Air Dash, Stunt Jog, Ninjutsu, Hack Q, and Overclock. Some skills have been removed, particularly in crafting perks, because crafting has been overhauled completely. Everybody can craft now. The only thing you need are the appropriate materials. You don't need any skills or perks anymore, which I think is a pretty good change. And like we've said before, players can reset their attributes once and refund perk points if needed. So you will be granted all your attribute points and all perk points when 2.0 launches, and then you will have to allocate them new. Then we've got some improved user interface information. The UI has been rebuilt to be more visually pleasing and efficient in displaying relevant information. So like I said, it's much more simplified, but it looks much cleaner and not so cluttered as before. And they also enhanced the quick selection weapon menu to easily swap between cyberware and grenades during combat, which is always welcome. Then we've got the police overhaul. We've talked about that extensively in previous videos already, but just to summarize, police now patrol Night City and will hunt you down if you commit a crime. The line of sight plays a significant role in the police system, similar to GTA. And of course, if you escalate the system with continuous offenses, then this will also escalate the police response, including calling in MaxTech. Next up are changes in cyberware, and I think those are pretty important and pretty significant because there is a cyberware limit now that increases as you level up or invest in the tech tree. If you reach or go over the cyberware limit, that doesn't mean that you turn cyber psycho, but it means that you will get debuffs. You lose a significant amount of your maximum health. And modifications to cyberware now can improve armor rating because armor isn't tied anymore to clothing, it is tied to your cyberware modifications, which is really interesting. So another big change right there. Specific cyberware can now be upgraded at Ripper docks using crafting components, which is also pretty cool. Then we've got the clothing fixes. Clothes are no longer tied to armor, like I said before, allowing players to choose outfits without worrying about combat viability, which of course is what it always should have been. No more running around dressed up like a clown just in order to have the best stats on your character. You can just choose freely what to wear, and basically it's almost always just a simple cosmetic choice. Although some clothing still offers stat boosts such as faster quick hacks or improved melee damage, but as I get it from this article right here, it's only some items. New feature where any dismantled clothing items is added to your wardrobe, allowing you to wear it later, which essentially is transmog. Yeah, like I said, it's perfect and that's how it always should have been. Now, buying vehicles is also simplified. You can just do it through a auto fixer website now, and you don't have to drive to the car in order to buy the car, which I think is a very good update. You can now shoot out of your window with a pistol or an SMG, and you can also quick hack during driving. Really significant changes have been made to the health and stamina system, because the health system now features an inhaler with 2 charges on a cooldown, transforming health items from consumables to equipable items that can be used indefinitely. Of course, encouraging players to take cover and plan their attacks a little bit more carefully. Also, the stamina system, which I think is really interesting, has been revamped, where sprinting no longer drains stamina, but other actions like shooting, dashing and attacking do. Of course, forcing players to time their attacks well during combat. It is so, for example, if you shoot with an auto rifle and your stamina depletes, then the recoil will become much more difficult to control. So definitely very interesting changes right there. And then we've got the crafting, because crafting is no longer tied to skills or perks like we said before, and players can craft or upgrade any items regardless of their rarity, as long as they have the necessary components. This change makes it easier to keep iconic weapons viable throughout the game, which of course is very interesting, because many of the iconic weapons you pick up at lower rarities, for example blues, rare items, and you can't upgrade them unless you invest into the tech abilities, and now you don't have to do that anymore. Everybody can upgrade their weapons to legendary versions, which of course is really good. However, they have a warning at the end: loading into an older save might cause some issues, such as needing to recraft some quick hacks. And that's it. I think this was a really good summary of the article, and I hope this helps you out. And of course, PC Gamer is also playing, and they shared some very interesting information. Just a quick short snippet. They think it's new. You can pet random cats on the streets in Night City, separate from the one you can get it to live in V's apartment, of course. So you can just walk around Night City and pet cats. I found this very interesting, so I wanted to share it with you. Next, I want to go over some questions and answers about Cyberpunk 2077 Update 2.0 by TheNeonArcade. If you follow content creators for Cyberpunk, you probably know them. They have been around from the very beginning, and they have done an AMA over on Twitter, and I wanted to show you some of the more interesting questions. Let's go ahead and start with this one right here. Doodles wants to know, tell me what you can about the reworked cyberware and skill tree. I want to know and see everything. Yes, I want to. So the TheNeonArcade goes ahead and says, lots of new cyberware options from what I saw. Lots had unique modifiers. There are attunements now with cyberware that give bonuses based on your attributes, and they know people are asking about visual cyberware, but they didn't see anything stand out here. So that's really interesting. I think the new cyberware options will be a big chunk of new stuff coming to Cyberpunk with the update 2.0. Let's go over the next question right here from Edrunner Sano. How's crafting? How reworked is it? I usually go for 20 crafting except for my Netrunner builds. And yeah, I'm the same. I always have 20 into crafting or technical abilities, so I can craft my legendary weapons. And TheNeonArcade says, crafting is available to everyone, no perks required, just collect crafting materials and the specs and you're good. You can buy specs now, or some enemies will drop legendary specs too. So very good info right here. Next, we've got a question from Austin Collier. Any improvements to Night City? More enterable buildings, improved crowd activity, ambient events happening around you? And they go on and say, reactive NPCs have a green dot. They can be found scattered across the city. Gang conflict and car chases randomly occur. So that's really interesting. Seems a little bit more lively now. John Zarkas wants to know, did you see any updated and more polished places in Night City? For example, Heavy Metal Shop, North Oak Casino, etc. And we've got a really quick answer right here, not those specifically, but there are a few new areas on the map, and this is really interesting. So there's also some new stuff waiting for us to be discovered in Night City, and I'm really excited about that. I love that in open world games, especially in Cyberpunk and Night City. Then we've got a question from MMO. are there any city life improvements such as sitting on a bench or an animation for getting and eating food from a street vendor? And they say not a lot of life sim things. Mantling and climbing animations have gotten better though. To me that's okay. I always was fine and I still am fine with the way it is. But let me know in the comments down below, would you love to see more life sim features in Cyberpunk? Then a really cool question here from Cookies, is there a new arcade game? And they say yeah, Trauma Team based minigame. So that's really cool. And another question I found really interesting is from Abraham Lincoln. Is the game more difficult, more balanced, especially in late game? And that's a really good question because I felt Cyberpunk always was a little bit on the lighter side when it came to the end game. And they say it's more difficult for sure. Easy felt the same, but normal and above feel harder, and I really appreciate that. Irfan wants to know, are the skills progression gone? For example, 20 quick hacking or 20 cold blood, etc, etc. And the Neon Arcade says still there, just on a different standalone menu. So that's why you can't find them in the build planner, because they have their extra category now. Next one from Jake here, how does the game run compared to the current version? And that's a really good one. Of course, we all want to know about the performance, and the Neon Arcade says runs just as good if not better in the 2.0 content, which is really good because Cyberpunk 2077 is at a very good state already right now, and if it runs the same or even better, I'm all down for it. And that's it for the Q&A. I think there were some pretty good questions and also pretty cool answers. Thanks for that. A few days ago, the lead scene programmer Filip Przynski, who's working on Cyberpunk 2077 Update 2.0 and Phantom Liberty, posted the following on Twitter. Before release of Cyberpunk 2077 Update 2.0 and Phantom Liberty, please check conditions of your cooling systems in PCs. We use all what you have, so workload on CPU 90% on 8-core is expected. To save your time, please run Cinebench or similar to check stability of your systems. So if your system tends to heat up during hardware stress, go ahead and check those cooling systems in your PC. For example, clean out all the dust in your fans. But as you can imagine, this post right there stirred up a lot of controversy because many users and press alike thought, oh my god, Phantom Liberty and Update 2.0 will fry our PCs, and of course, that's not the case, as Philip stated in this post right here. Follow up to my previous tweet. My intention was to highlight the need to maintain your cooling systems and check them regularly. Neither Cyberpunk 2077 after 2.0 nor Phantom Liberty will melt your PCs. The game will perform well on the recommended hardware. And then he went on and showed us the recommended hardware. So here you have a good overview of what you can expect and on what settings you might be able to play Update 2.0 and Phantom Liberty alike. Next, I want to talk about an article over on Forbes because, of course, they have been playing Update 2.0 and also Phantom Liberty, and they have some interesting stuff to share. For example, how to prepare your V for Cyberpunk 2077 Update 2.0 and also Phantom Liberty. They say, I think there are some ways you may want to start preparing your current character for the update today if you're not planning on starting fresh, which is probably what they would recommend overall. So this is a really cool information right here. If you're not planning to get the most cool stuff as fast as possible, then it's probably wisest just to start over with a fresh character. Although if you want to be ahead of the pack and want to get the good stuff really fast, really early, they would start grinding cash. Because they say if you've maxed out the game so far, this is usually by killing enemies, taking their gear and selling it. Why do you need cash? Mainly for all the new cyberware, which can cost anywhere from 10k to 100k eddies. You can burn through hundreds of thousands very quickly if you want to experiment with different setups or builds. You can also spend cash on some of the newer weapons, many of which are even more expensive. New clothing items too, but those are quite a bit cheaper. Later weaponized cars ain't cheap also. But the main initial cash sink will be cyberware, so I would build up a stockpile if you don't have one. So if you plan on trying out different builds or getting new stuff and trying out new, for example, cyberware, then you would have to build up some savings. And next, they recommend to save legendary orange items. They say exclude these from the above advice. Hold on to all of them. Put them in your stash, carry them, whatever. Anything you find that you would normally sell, keep it. Why? Because dismantling these after 2.0 will give you tier 5 components, which are used to upgrade both the new cyberware and weapons to their max levels, which is tier 5++, 2 upgrades over tier 5, and it takes a ton of these materials to fully max out your build. It's 200 to get to the final tier of an iconic weapon, for instance, which upgrades stats like damage and reload speed. Cyberware gets boosts to its values on specific effects, so save them all and dismantle once 2.0 launches. Alright, so earning some cash and not dismantling the legendary items you find are the two big things they recommend first. Now let's have a look at the third thing they recommend. They say don't dismantle clothing yet. You should absolutely dismantle all your clothing because it weighs down your character, and in a past update you no longer need to hold on to clothing in order to be able to use it in your transmog wardrobe. But do not do this until update 2.0 launches. Why? Because legendary level clothing also will give you tier 5 components, just like weapons when dismantled. Perhaps not as many, but I definitely got a few free upgrades out of doing this and lost about 150 pounds on my character. So if you find clothes of legendary rarity, don't dismantle them before update 2.0 hits the shelves. But that's it. That's all the tips and tricks and news I've got for you today. I hope this helps you out to prepare for the update and also Phantom Liberty if you want to prepare. And if you found this video helpful, please consider giving it a thumbs up. And if you want to stay up to date on all things Cyberpunk and watch all the guides I will be making on Phantom Liberty when the game launches, then go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to activate the bell notification so you never miss a video. But that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I wish you all an awesome day and I'll catch you in the next one.